These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
And I think our audience knows that, yes, we love Minnesota sports, but we might love wrestling and the WWE, Declan, more than we love Minnesota sports. Because Minnesota sports just let us down every year for 30 years, but the WWE does not let us down. And so tonight is the Monday Night Raw after SummerSlam, Target Center, targetcenter.com if you want to snag some tickets. And Natalya is joining us for the second time on our show, which makes her officially a friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
I'm part of the team.
You're a friend of the show now. So,
thank you guys so much for having me.
yes, no, thanks for coming in here and making some time. We just love to pepper wrestlers with dumb questions because we love watching you perform and we know nothing about your world outside of what you tell us. So what was SummerSlam like from your perspective? The largest audience ever for SummerSlam.
And the most viewed SummerSlam in WWE history, which is
Yes.
crazy to think because it's next to WrestleMania. It's one of our biggest shows of the year. So it's huge.
Yes. And we had just some of the storylines too. You had a cashing in of Money in the Bank with Io Sky.
Right.
We had, and it sounds like it was an awesome organic moment where Brock does the handshake to Cody. You had the Bloodline storyline. So a lot of fun storylines and things sort of happening right now in WWE, I feel like.
It's an exciting time because of the stories. And so as much as it's funny because there's a lot of debate within, what's interesting, what's fascinating, why is WWE booming right now? And the company really is every show is near sold out, if not sold out. Money in the Bank sold out in 1 minute.
Yeah.
SummerSlam was the most viewed SummerSlam in history. And, every year, every show, actually, we just keep breaking records and records and records. But I think it's because there's stories. And you look at the Bloodline story, and it's fascinating because even for me, I know I'm a performer in the company, but I also see myself as a fan. And I think that's so important. I'm like, what do I want to see? What would be interesting to me? And I look at the Bloodline storyline and I'm like, it's just so fascinating because families fight, but families also make up. So after these guys are done fighting, they're probably all going to be friends again.
Yeah. But it's what's funny is so I don't know how much, and this is another question maybe for later on here, but how much you pay attention to what people say. I want the story to go this way and whatever.
Right.
The people who are like, well, wait a second, the story jumped the shark because the brother turned down the brother. It's like, I feel like every brother or sister, there's always family drama for 50 years in wrestling.
But then they always work it out. I have a fight
Yes.
with my sister once a day, and then we're best friends 2 minutes later. But that's family, and that's why this is fascinating because then you see even the pictures of Roman and the Usos when they were kids and they were playing football together and they're little kids. You really feel a connection to that. Oh my gosh, they have deep history with each other. And I think that the stories in WWE are what hook people to want to see what's next. What's going to be next? Is at SummerSlam, everybody was wondering, is Io going to cash in? Is she going to cash in? Is Damian going to cash in? Are Finn and Damian going to have a knockdown drag out? What's going to happen? Is the group going to break up? Or are they going to stay together? And you look at even the stuff with Logan Paul. I have to say Logan Paul has just been so impressive as far as just what he has learned in such a short amount of time and his commitment to WWE. I know he's not full-time with the company. I know he's got a bunch of other stuff that he does. But when he has a match, he shows up and he shows out and he does really, really well. His match with Ricochet on SummerSlam was awesome. They did so many innovative things, but they still had a story because you can't just get by off of doing moves and flips and things that you just see on TikTok. You have to have a story. This day and age, everybody can do a damn flip.
Yeah. It's crazy.
You gotta have a story. And so I think that's the great thing about WWE right now is that, we have so many good stories and I'm excited to see what's gonna happen. Is Asuka gonna get a rematch against Io? I know Bianca, she fought. She won and then she was cashed in on, so she's going to want redemption. Charlotte Flair's not going down without a fight. Yeah. She wants to be front and center, and I don't blame her. When you work hard to get to where you're at, you don't want to lose your spot. So it's interesting that story that those girls had on the show, and then even with Ronda and Shayna, Ronda is a huge catalyst, and Shayna, having that SummerSlam match, just like Ronda said, but Shayna is a huge reason why Ronda ever came to WWE. So for me as a fan, it's thought provoking because I'm now part of the audience going, and I said this to Ronda and Shayna both. I was like, I agree with Shayna on this, and I agree with Ronda on this. Shayna wouldn't have that without Ronda. Ronda wouldn't have had that without Shayna. So it makes you almost go, whose side do I want to be on? Because it's thought provoking. And I saw that picture that Shayna Baszler posted. I mean, her hand was taped up, her arm was in a brace, her eye was swollen shut. I was like, those women went to war.
Yes,
Natty, what is your opinion on like the state of stables in the WWE? So like, the Judgment Day has just been popping off, and the fans love to hate it. I feel like it's when Dom takes the mic, right, and everyone's just booing, but also it works so well.
It gets heat. Yeah, it gets heat for sure.
And obviously Damage Control with Bayley and Io and Dakota Kai. Are you looking to like start the next big stable? Also, is that part of your plans?
If you guys have ideas, let me know because I've been thinking about it myself. Like, what's so great about stables is that there's strength in numbers. You know, you look at AJ Styles and the Good Brothers and Mia Yim. You look at like the Viking Raiders. You look at even with, Otis and Gable and Maxine, like having strength in numbers, having a stable. It really, and it's so cool when a girl is involved in that stable because then, you can have different pairings and different matches and things you've never seen, but there's strength in numbers and it gets what stables do also. They allow more people to get on TV. Yes. They help build more people. And like the Judgment Day has turned out to be something super fascinating that, when it was first kind of getting started, you were wondering, where is this going to go? And then everybody saw this really, with Dom, his whole ascension has been so organic because when you look at Dom, you're like, this kid is so ungrateful. He's been disrespectful to his dad. He disrespected Edge. He disrespected his mother. He disrespected his sister. And he's just this spoiled, entitled brat that the audience goes, you know what? You're a little jerk. If you call in sick, he's probably one of those people that calls in sick and says, I don't feel it today. Like he's that. What do they say? Is it Gen X?
Gen Z is like the new one. Yeah,
it's the new one where it's like it used to be those damn millennials, but Dom is just a spoiled brat. So,
yeah, I feel like we're kind of, you and I are like fringe millennials. I don't know if we have a group. It's like. Now we're like, okay, now we're the ones that are off the hook, and it's the Gen Z, like, spoiled, generation.
Because I heard for a while, Vince McMahon would be like, those millennials.
Yeah. Damn.
But that's the thing.
Those
is that,
millennials,
those spoiled
they can kiss my ass. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's, it's just cool to see all the different factions. I would love to have a faction. I'm always about building and developing new talent. So for me, if I was to have a faction, I would have Roxanne Perez from NXT, Cora Jade, Tiffany, and JC Jane would be somebody really great to have in a faction. I would like all those girls in a faction with me and a first ever all-female faction.
Love it. I love it. So we were sent this note here, which I think is fascinating, and I have a question off of it. That you were recently awarded or given certifications for 6 Guinness Book of World Records. Marks, or however you want to say it. So you have the most ever women's division matches, 1,514, which is incredible. How do you, over the course of a career in which you're taking bumps, and it's not just like Monday Night Raw, which is going to be on TV, you're going to live shows.
Yeah, those matches, by the way, don't include live shows.
So these don't include, you're going to Hartford on a Tuesday or something. These are televised matches.
Yeah.
So it's really like 3,000 matches or something.
Not to mention the damn matches that I have in my ring at the dungeon.
Right, exactly. How do you, what does your day-to-day look like? And you're traveling all the time. How do you just stay healthy, I guess?
Well, first of all, I take so much pride in taking care of my body and my brain. Just for me, Alzheimer's had run in our family, and so on my dad's side, my dad had suffered from it, and I just take meticulous care of my body because without my brain being healthy, I can't do the things that I want to do. My body can't function the way that it needs to. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm all about, like, when I'm home, when I'm not doing a live event or a premium live event or a Raw or a SmackDown or NXT or whatever it may be, I am on a table. I'm working with an ART therapist, an active release therapist. I work with an adrenal specialist. I'm on the table as much as LeBron James or Tom Brady was, because I'm just religious about what I put in my body. I'm huge into vitamins and supplements, and because if I want to compete at this level, where right now our women's division is at the height, of where like it's so competitive to be a part of our women's division right now. I need my body firing on all cylinders. So I take meticulous care of my body. I was blessed with incredible genetics. I've had one injury in WWE in the course of 16 years.
Wow. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. We're not
on-
going to be the podcast that jinx this. Yeah.
But I mean, as they say, stuff happens. But I've been very lucky. I have very good genetics, but I take care of my body and I take calculated risks. I heard one time Booker T say, and I couldn't agree more with him. He said, you've got a live event match, you got a television match, and you've got like a pay-per-view match. So, we're on the roads 300 days a year. Mm-hmm. So you just have to be smart. You can't, I can't go off and do a suicide dive. Not that you're ever going to see me do that.
Yeah.
But you just have to be smart because it's about longevity so that we can go out there and do the things. But we give it our all on live events too. It's just about being calculated, knowing who you're in the ring with. If you're in the ring with somebody that's brand new and they're nervous and this is their first match, you're smarter about how you handle yourself. If you're in the ring with somebody if I'm in the ring with somebody like Charlotte Flair, we've wrestled each other so many times that I know, hey, we can really take it to the limit. And Rhea Ripley and we've been working on all the live events together and like competing against each other. And trust me, both of us, we sometimes come out with bloody faces, bruises. I'll go back to my hotel and I'm like, I'm covered in bruises.
Yeah.
And then I see Rhea and she's got like blood coming from her mouth on live event pictures. I'm like, okay,
Sorry
we said take it easy on the live event, but no, I love what I do and I'm very smart. I treat my body right, and I just think that's what's so great about especially this generation of men and women in the industry is that if we're not playing video games and if I'm not working with different therapists and health specialists, we're in the ring, we're practicing, we're training, we love what we do. And that brings me to even my own dungeon that I have, which I'm sure you guys have seen some of the footage. I love it when people come train with us and they work on different ideologies, and Dawkins has been training with us.
How much training do you do? Like who are some of the, I know you, not to like have you brag about yourself, whatever, but you do train younger wrestlers.
And I love working with people that have passion for this. So Ronda Rousey, before she ever came to WWE, I worked with her privately, which was really cool because she actually was so driven to learn this. But I've worked with Liv Morgan, I've worked with Shotzi, I've worked with Angelo Dawkins, I've worked with Apollo, Raquel. I'm just trying to think. EO was actually just training with us in the dungeon a couple weeks ago. We've had some Japanese female wrestlers come in from Stardom and come and work with us.
Wow.
There's so many people, and we've had everybody from Cesaro to Christian to just people that have come to our ring, and we're friends with so many people in the industry. So it's not just about the in-ring stuff too. I look at guys that like Edge, for example. When I need help with a promo, I can call Edge up and go, hey, can you help me with this promo? I really want to get it right. It's really important to me. And like a little while ago, he spent an hour on the phone with me going over a promo that I had.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so being able to get that also, you know what I mean? It's not just that training in the dungeon, but like we're just very lucky to have those resources.
Declan does that for Vikings rants. Like,
Yeah.
if I need help,
I'm
like I'm
in
going to
the
complain
mirror.
about Kirk Cousins, Dex. Stop on the phone.
God. Natalya, I heard a clip from Bret Hart last week saying he was asked who has given the best sharpshooters. And I think he actually responded with, well, I can tell you who gave the worst sharpshooters. Because he said people actually put it on backwards all the time. Because people, I think it's like just a normal, you step through, you cross the legs and move it over. Did it take you a long time to master that sharpshooter? And do you, I guess, get annoyed when someone tries to put you in it that is doing it backwards?
Well, it's funny because like I think I do mine differently than Brett does. So he's probably talking about me as well. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, yeah, like the thing with the sharpshooter is that especially if your legs aren't long, like if I was putting Hornswoggle in a sharpshooter, it's a little tricky. That's
the content we need right now, actually. Right?
And sometimes, like if your legs are too long, like if I was putting Titus O'Neil in a sharpshooter, it's a little tricky. So it's like you gotta have
reach the ropes.
You gotta have the perfect legs for it. But like if somebody's got really like Rhea Ripley, perfect legs for the sharpshooter.
Yeah,
she's got the perfect legs for the sharpshooter. I don't need you too short or too tall.
Right.
It's tricky. And also what's tricky is doing the double sharpshooter. So I remember at WrestleMania, Sonya and Chelsea this past WrestleMania, I was like, just don't move. Just don't move. And they were both like, stop bossing us around.
The double sharpshooter is. I was just kind of going through some of your different like match. You put that on flawlessly. It looks like it's just a tangled knot of legs, and
it's
you do a good
tricky
job.
because if one person moves the wrong way, the whole thing comes apart, and then I make botchamania.
Yeah. Hey, if you were talking to, you're introducing a new fan to the WWE, and with your family history going back decades and decades, if you had, all right, go through the entire Peacock, WWE library. For a new fan, what era, or is there a match or an era that you would introduce? Start with this, and then work your way through the rest of the library.
That is such a great question. For anybody that's new, that wants to be a student of the game, or is like, what is this? Or what? The match that I always say, watch this match.
Can I guess?
Yes.
WrestleMania 10. Owen versus Brett.
You just read my mind.
Is it? Oh, you nailed it.
You just read
That's one of the greatest matches.
So it's just, and that's the thing is, Brett and Owen were storytellers. And so, people look back at Bret Hart's matches. Bret was a master storyteller. Yeah. So I always say to people, if you want to get into this and you want to learn what this is about, watch Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, WrestleMania 10, Madison Square Garden. It is, Madison Square Garden to this day is still one of my favorite places to compete because there's so much history there. But Owen was the little bratty brother and Bret was the big brother trying to be noble and honorable, and it was just an easy story to follow, but it was this beautiful, beautiful match, and you could understand the story because a match is a story and a story is a match. Yeah. So that match was magical, and it was so great because I look back on that match and think, I'm so happy that they got to do that because it was really such a highlight in Owen's professional career where Owen got the chance to shine. And I remember Bret really fighting for Owen to have that match. A lot of people don't know that, but Bret, behind the scenes, fought very hard for Owen to be a part of that storyline so that Owen would have a chance to, I think something different was suggested. And Bret said, no, I want it to be Owen. It has to be Owen.
And the roster was kind of a transition period, and the roster was a little thinner then. And so Bret and Yoko, did Yokozuna wrestle twice? Bret wrestled twice.
Bret wrestled twice.
Yeah.
You are a wrestling historian.
Oh my!
I'm so impressed.
I'm a nerd, and that. So I was born in 1985, and so I grew up. Like, I remember my first show as a kid going to Target Center in, by the way, targetcenter.com if you want to get tickets to the Raw after SummerSlam tonight. Dex and I are going to be on the floor just making idiots of ourselves, I'm sure. But I remember it was 1992. Macho Man and Ric Flair were the headliners. I met Jumpin' Jim Brunzell in, an autograph line. And then to have him then, come on our show once in a while later. But I'm pretty sure it was the Rockers, the Hart Foundation, and Demolition, and maybe Legion of Doom had come over from NWA. But those were the tag teams, right?
What a crew.
And at the time you're like, oh, the Demolition, now as an adult, you're like, why are they dressed up like dominatrix performers? I don't know what's going on, but
little did you know they were one of the greatest tag teams of all time. But
yeah.
I love that you have that history, and it's because I love talking to people about the industry that are passionate. And I can tell that you guys are passionate, because I love it. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I know I'm a performer, but I'm also a fan, and I think that's why sometimes the most successful people in our industry, they started out as fans. Like Bayley, like Seth Rollins. You think my husband and I, my husband's a wrestling historian too. He knows about matches that Bret Hart's had that Bret doesn't even know he had.
Yeah.
So he saw Billy Kidman at work the other day, and he was like, yeah, I remember that match that you have with so-and-so, and Billy Kidman's like, I don't even remember that match.
No idea what you're talking about.
There was this pay-per-view, it was this. I love it.
Yeah, we have a couple minutes, so we want to respect Natalya's time, but Dax, fire away last couple minutes here.
Natty, I know your dad played in the NFL for a little bit, and I know the Harts are also based in Canada. Are there some pseudo-Vikings fans in the Hart family that we don't know about? Was your dad a Vikings fan, or is anyone in the Hart family big football NFL fans that you know of?
Well, my dad was my dad loved football. My dad played for the Dallas Cowboys and the Oakland Raiders. He was a nose guard. He had an injury, so it's funny, his football career actually ended up launching him into wrestling because when he got injured and he had some behavioral issues and it was just this big mess, parent stuff. I was always the parent to my parent. My dad was like my kid. But my dad, when his football career ended, he ended up getting into wrestling, met my grandfather through a mutual friend and was like, my grandfather saw him and was like, you are this, this big SOB, as I think that's how my grandfather first introduced himself to my dad, and he saw this big burly football player. So my dad's football career ending was how he got into wrestling, and so my dad when he was alive, he was just a huge football buff. So I'm sure he loved the Vikings, but played for the Cowboys. His favorite team ever was the Raiders.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's a rivalry there.
Well, they did play each other in a Super Bowl in the 70s. It did not go well for the Vikings. John Madden was the coach of the Raiders at the time before he got into broadcasting. So
there could have been a rivalry. But my dad loved football a lot, and it's funny because a lot of people in WWE, like Roman Reigns, used to play football, and Baron Corbin.
One of my first jobs in Minnesota sports media, I was a Vikings beat writer for a different radio station in 2007. Roman Reigns I covered him in Vikings training camp.
You're kidding.
He was Joe, right? I mean, and he was massive. And I think that might have been when he was going through a bout of health issues, so I think he actually got removed from the roster for health reasons.
Right.
And then, of course, 2 years before that, Brock Lesnar was in Vikings camp.
Right.
Had never played football before.
Ever.
He was a college wrestler, high school wrestler. And he would just start fights in practice. And everyone's like, dude, what? We're on the same team, guy. What do you...
Yeah, Brock is we were just saying a little earlier, Brock is such an anomaly. He's wild. He's crazy. Again, we say, I was joking about my dad with behavioral issues, but Brock is just going to be Brock. He's going to do Brock. You know what I mean? When he does an appearance, you never know when he's going to show up on a Raw and throw a chair.
Or drive a forklift and lift the ring up or something.
Drive a forklift, lift the ring up. Yeah. It's funny because I'll even walk past Brock in the hallway. I'm like, oh my God, Brock is so scary. But he's actually if you get to know him, he's a big teddy bear.
And he is, and if you around here, because he went to school, he went to school a mile down the street from where the studio is right now in college. And so he'll sometimes, for a Minnesota Gopher wrestling event, he'll just be at Stub and Herbs on campus, the bar on campus. You'll just see Brock Lesnar. He'll just be
crazy.
Drinking a beer, whatever,
just relaxing,
Coors
hanging
Light
out
or something. Yeah, there he is.
No, Brock is great, and I love that you guys have so much passion for what we do and for people in the industry. Just hearing that about Roman being part of the Vikings, and it's really cool. So is there a rival team that I should know about right now? I'm not a football buff.
You're not a football buff? So now you're a Vikings fan.
I'm a huge Vikings fan.
If you're looking to adopt a team, Natalya, you heard it here first, folks, is a Vikings fan.
Vikings fan all the way.
It is. I think, and I don't want to get you in trouble here, but there are some rumblings that sometime soon WrestleMania could come to the new stadium in Minneapolis here. So if that happens,
better get your boxing gloves on, because every damn city and everybody wants WrestleMania.
There's such a heritage here. We kind of feel like, all right, all the famous wrestlers, Ric Flair went to school here. Ravishing Rick Rude. There's all these guys, Kurt Hennig. Let's one time. All we need is one time.
That would be so cool. It's funny because when you think about the kind of money that WrestleMania generates for a city, I mean, this year we smashed records.
Yeah.
And so
moving it to 2 days, I know it was a pandemic thing.
Yeah.
It was like stumbling into this gold mine idea, right?
It would be so cool. I mean, 1 day is awesome because it's just that one night, but 2 days gives everybody a chance to actually soak in the matches.
Yes.
Because you don't feel so overwhelmed. Because listen, I love WWE. You love WWE, but I don't have an attention span to watch anything for 8 hours.
Yeah.
So the only person I know that does is probably my husband. He could sit through all of it.
There, yeah.
But so it is nice to have it over 2 days. And of course, like I said, every city is trying to secure WrestleMania because of what it does for the city. It's so exciting. I'm always like, we need, we go to England, they're like, we want WrestleMania. We go to Canada, they're like, we want WrestleMania.
There's Super Bowl, WrestleMania, Taylor Swift 2 nights. Those are the 3 big economy movers now in our country.
And Barbie.
And Barbie.
Yes.
No, but it's an exciting time for the company. It's an exciting time every show that I'm on is practically sold out, if not sold out. Money in the Bank. I had people in England, friends of mine that were very close friends, like, oh, can we get tickets to the show? I'm like, guys, newsflash, the show sold out in 1 minute.
People have to know at this point. What it's asking for tickets thing, though, right?
So hard to get tickets.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I just, I hope you guys get a chance to have WrestleMania here. You certainly deserve it. The Vikings would love it.
Yes,
I would
let's
love
go.
it. You guys would love it. It would be very cool for sure if you guys ended up having that. work out for you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Get
for
the
that.
boxing gloves because you're going to have to fight for it.
Awesome. Natalya, we appreciate you coming in. Now that you've made your second appearance, you are officially a friend of the show here. So,
And I want to be a co-host. I'm actually loving how this all looks. I just feel so professional.
you're into this whole YouTube thing now, right? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, no, you know what? The funny thing is, and we'll wrap up, but like, I feel like I'm having a hard time keeping up with content. Because,
it's
like,
impossible.
The other day, they were like, you got to get on TikTok. And I'm like, wait, I'm trying to keep up with Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook.
Threads now. We got Instagram threads, which is new.
There's only so many cat pictures that I can post.
I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Do you have accounts for your Instagram accounts for each cat, or do you
for one?
Just for one. Okay.
The only our cat Two Paws is the most charismatic cat of the house, so he gets his own Instagram page. If you're not following him, make sure to go check him out at Two Paws. 2 is in the number, and then PAWZ. I've basically threatened everybody at work to follow my cat. If I see that Seth Rollins isn't following him, or Becky Lynch better be following him. Braun Strowman and I, we almost went nose to nose because he wasn't following Two Paws.
Does Braun Strowman have a cat?
No. He's a dog person.
That doesn't.
I was going to say it'd be kind of an upset if he was like had 16 cats at home. You know, Braun Strowman just.
2 types of people in WWE. There's dog people and there's cat people. Don't even get me started.
So follow Natalya, follow Two Paws, and we'll get you on again hopefully sometime, and you can talk some Vikings with us.
Love that.
Right?
My favorite team.
There she is. All right, WWE's Natalya here on Mackey and Judd, minus Judd with just Declan. See you guys.